It has been 2 years since I walked away from a man I once loved deeply. 2 years since I ended a relationship that wounded me in ways I never imagined love could. This was the same man who once made me feel cherished. The first year with him was sweet, almost perfect. He was affectionate, attentive, and made me believe we were building something solid together. I felt safe. I felt chosen. I believed in our future. But slowly, the red flags began to appear. Simple, harmless conversations became battles. Once, I casually asked him why he left his washed clothes in the bathroom instead of spreading them outside to dry. That innocent question was interpreted as an attack on his masculinity. His reaction was explosive, and I learned that even care could be punished. This was also the same man who would tell me he loved me and wanted to spend the rest of his life with me. Yet, at the slightest disagreement, he would shout, "You're not my wife, and I'm not your husband," as if my feelings and presence meant nothing. And each time, those words cut too deeply, and I chose to leave his house because I was hurt. He never tried to stop me, he never followed me, he never apologized. He simply let me go, as though my absence meant nothing. Then came the discovery that broke something inside me. I saw messages on his phone, messages between him and another woman. They called each other babe. He invited her to come and sleep over at his house. When I confronted him, he claimed it was all a test. According to him, he only wanted to see my anger because he had never seen me get angry before. As if that wasn't enough, this same woman later sent him a photo of a pregnancy test result. He insisted the pregnancy wasn't his and explained that she sent it to him only because they were close friends and she was having issues with her fiance. Even as I listened, my heart knew none of it made sense. Still, I stayed. Not long after that, one morning, I went to his apartment at 8:30 a.m. We had an appointment scheduled for 11 a.m., and I arrived early, thinking nothing of it. Instead of welcoming me, he refused to open the door. He stood behind it, hurling hurtful words at me, words filled with anger, contempt, and disrespect. I stood there crying, confused, humiliated. He finally opened the door about 15 to 20 minutes later. I walked in, tears streaming down my face. He didn't care. Instead, he left me there and walked away. And when I eventually turned to leave, still crying, he didn't stop me, even though he could see my tears. My pain didn't move him. My tears didn't soften his heart. And that hurt me the most. How could the tears of someone you claim to love not move you at all? Almost 2 years into the relationship, on January 28th, I asked him a simple but important question about our plans for marriage. He ended the call abruptly. 4 days later, when I tried to reach out again, he sent me a message that shattered me. He said he was preparing for my breakup so it wouldn't come as a surprise because I was getting tired of failed marital plans. Something in me snapped. I told him I was done falling for emotional manipulation, done swallowing disrespect just to keep the peace. After that, he never called again. The next time we spoke was on his birthday, March 8th. I reached out to wish him a happy birthday. He didn't reply. When I called, he accused me of pretending to care, of calling only because it was his birthday. As I tried to defend myself, he hung up. That moment broke the last thread holding me there. I sent him a message, this time calling him by his full name, not the pet name I once used with love. I asked him to tell me when I could come pick up my remaining belongings from his house. I told him that his actions had spoken louder than his words. His response was cruel. He told me he was not afraid of losing me. He said I was nothing but a desperate woman who just wanted to settle down. This was a 40-year-old man speaking to a 28-year-old woman, one he knew was struggling with PCOS and all the emotional weight that comes with it. That was the end. I walked away. I never reached out again. I never heard from him again. And yet, 2 years later, my heart still remembers him and aches. Not because he was kind in the end, not because he chose me, but because My heart keeps returning to the man he was in the beginning, the version of him from the first year, the one who made love feel safe before it became painful. For a long time, I questioned myself. Did I do the right thing by not reaching out again after all those red flags? And the truth I've come to understand is this: walking away was not pride, it was self preservation. It was the moment I chose my dignity over emotional damage. What I miss is not the man who locked me out, insulted me, gaslighted me, and let me walk away in tears without stopping me. What I miss is the dream I attached to him, the future I imagined, the reassurance I never received, because everything I experienced were not mistakes or misunderstandings. They were patterns. Love does not lock you outside. Love does not humiliate you for asking reasonable questions. Love does not test your anger like an experiment. Walking away was not a loss. It was me choosing dignity over trauma bonding. 2 years later, and my heart seems not to have forgotten him. My heart seems to miss him so much, but my mind remains alert, bringing me to the understanding that I'm only missing the man he was in the first year, that version that was kind, attentive, and loving. My brain is still holding on to that memory, maybe, hoping it will return. But I guess the real person is who he became when I needed safety, clarity, and commitment. And there was something else I hadn't admitted to myself. There was no real ending, no closure. We never saw to end physically. He never apologized. He never took responsibility. He never explained. So my heart kept asking questions he never answered. Was I really that unworthy? Why was it so easy for him to dismiss me? Why did my tears not move him at all? That's why it hurt. If I had gone back to him, nothing would be different. He would still dismiss me. He would still weaponize the words, "You're not my wife. I'm not your husband." He would still punish me emotionally for wanting clarity. He would still slowly crush my self esteem. Men who are true do not disappear without accountability. And the reason he never came back was not because I didn't matter. It was because I didn't beg, I didn't chase, I didn't collapse. Like in his words, you refused to call because I didn't call. And I guess that bruised his ego more than my absence ever could. I have come to the realization that all I need is emotional closure without him. And for a while, I was going about it the wrong way. However, telling the story is how I am finally choosing myself. This is me giving my heart the ending it never received.